So Newt Gingrich came back from the political dead and won a resounding victory in South Carolina. Now he goes south. What's different about Florida?
Well, it certainly was an astounding victory. If you look across all groups, he just cleared the boards. He did just extraordinarily well in South Carolina, and that was a big surprise. That wasn't what we expected the last time we were together. But Florida is such a different state, Henry. It's much more diverse, it's much more moderate, and it's so much larger. I mean, Florida is poised to become the third largest state in the United States after New York. Really extraordinary in terms of its size. There are 11.2 million registered voters in Florida, and of that, 36%, about 4 million, are registered Republicans. So it's a very different electorate.
So there's almost as many registered Republicans in Florida as there are people in South Carolina.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the reasons that we'll pay so much attention to Florida, because it's such a diverse state, and it's very different from all the states we've seen thus far, which have been largely white. Whereas Florida is much more diverse. There are about 22% Hispanics in the state of Florida overall, and a significant number will vote in the Republican primary. Just very, very different.
What about the laws that in South Carolina you pretty much had to vote on Election Day? Absentees were only about 3 to 5% of the vote. But Florida is one of these states that has early voting, liberal absentee laws. Votes have already been cast, and votes will be cast before Election Day from now until Election Day. What impact do you think that will have?
Absolutely. Well, the early evidence suggests that it was probably going to benefit Mitt Romney because he was so much better organized in Florida. But the Republican Party chairman said earlier this week that Floridians have requested more than 450,000 absentee or early ballots. So a lot of people have already voted early, and that could have a big impact, and it could boost Mitt Romney.
But to put it in perspective, 2 million people voted in the Florida primary 4 years ago, so even this is only about 20 or 25% of the electorate. Most of the people will show up on Election Day, and if it's not close, it'll be decided on Election Day. What are you looking at, and over the next week, what sort of factors do you think might sway Floridians one way or another?
Well, these debates have been so important in state after state, and so clearly I'm going to be watching the debate performance again on Thursday night. And it's something that you know a great deal about, which are media markets in Florida and different parts of the state and what's important in that regard. But I think I'm going to be looking most closely at the debates, just the way the news cycle proceeds between now and Election Day. And we expect a high turnout in Florida. In 2008, 51% of registered Republicans turned out to vote. That's a very impressive primary performance.
Yeah. And on Saturday, South Carolina set a record high turnout, over 600,000 people casting ballots in the Republican primary.
Exactly, and I think we can expect the Floridians to come out in record numbers too.